In today's video, we're going to talk about Google Ads AI and how it can be the make or break of any Google Ads campaign. Because if used effectively, then Google seems to, show all our ads to the right people at the right time and bring us in a lot of leads. But if used incorrectly, then can have the opposite effect and, waste a lot of budget. And just to give you a brief illustration of why Google's AI is so powerful and can work so effectively in Google Ads, because Google has a lot of context on every user from everything from their browsing history to their search queries, their location, the time of day that they make searches, the videos they watch, their interests, the device that they're using, and so on. That we can benefit massively from this data as long as we effectively feed Google's AI with the right relevant data from the very beginning. So that it has the right context to show our ads to the right users at the right time so that we use its machine learning effectively and with smart bidding as well, which we'll go into a moment. Google's AI will automatically use all these features to automatically adjust bidding in real time. And so, what we've done with this campaign, for example, is we've been able to use a maximize conversions bidding strategy where we've allowed Google's AI to take over and get us as many conversions as possible, and with a very good target CPA of only €20 as well for roofing. And the reason why we've been able to do this so effectively is because we've fed Google's AI with so much relevant data at the very beginning as to which users are most likely to result in leads, that it simply just knows now which types of users to go after based on all of the aspects in that screenshot I just showed you. Because what we did with this campaign at the very beginning was instead of using maximize conversions as we did now, you might have seen me mention it on the channel before, but what we actually started off with was maximize clicks. And we actually used maximize clicks on this campaign for somewhere between 2 and 3 months because we really wanted to gather as much relevant conversion data as possible. And then as soon as we switched over to maximize conversions, that we were just getting consistent leads from the very beginning with no dip in performance. And we were able to set a target CPA, which we managed to reduce over time. And that wouldn't have been possible without feeding Google's AI with the relevant data from the very beginning. And that's just a mistake as well that I wanted to point out that I often see a lot of people make, is that while Google's AI is extremely powerful and is obviously going to be far more advanced than any human will be in so many different cases, is that just handing over control to AI from the very beginning isn't going to typically get you the best results with maximized conversions if you do so from the very beginning. Now there are some cases where in some campaigns you might see the same results from using max conversions at the very beginning, but in our case, for almost any campaign we've run for service based businesses, anyways, we've always just noticed better results. When we've given Google's AI a lot of data at the beginning, we really allow it to take over and get us a lot better results once it has that data at the very beginning. And when we're talking about Google's AI as well, we're not just talking about bidding strategies, but also how that Google will also automatically create headlines and descriptions for us to use for our ads as well. And you can see here that we actually only just opened this up to create a new ad, and all of these were just automatically created before I even had the option to say anything. And they gave us an ad strength score of excellent right at the very beginning. Now, one thing I don't like about this is that I find that some of the headlines and descriptions that Google gives, can give good ideas, and some of the ideas they give can be used. But I would not rely on Google's AI to write your headlines and descriptions for you because they don't know your target customer as well as you do. And as well, inside an ad group as well, if you have specific keywords for a specific service, then a lot of the headlines and descriptions they give might just be very vague and not as compelling as, if you were to sit down and think of, why would somebody choose me? Now, some of these benefits, for example, fully certified and insured are great, but a lot of these headlines at the same time I wouldn't consider to be very compelling and wouldn't make an ad that's going to get as high of a click through rate as one that you most likely would write yourself. And another thing that Google's AI uses when it comes to your ad copy as well is that when it automatically creates your ads, you'll notice that none of your headlines are pinned, meaning that you don't decide which actual headline is shown when somebody sees your ads. Because most of the time, when somebody sees your ad on Google, you have 15 headlines, but only two of them will be shown at any given time. But what we like to do with a lot of our ads for the campaigns we're running is to actually only use three headlines and two descriptions and have everything pinned, because we want to decide exactly what the person sees when they see our ad, because we think that, our own written headlines that we decide are more likely to be clicked on than, what Google gives us. But if you do go the route of having 15 headlines and all unpinned, another useful feature of Google's AI is that they can all be A/B tested for you, and you can gather data quite quickly as well on which headlines are going to perform best. And there's actually one other point worth mentioning about Google's AI when it comes to your ad copy as well, and that's inside your campaign settings. If you go to ad rotation, you'll notice that you have the option to either optimize or do not optimize. And what we actually like to do in a lot of our campaigns is choose the optimize option, because a very useful feature of Google's AI is that when you have three ads in each ad group, that they'll just start showing the ad that is performing the best out of the three in each case. And Google's AI is good at, getting an idea of which of the three ads are going to perform best based on, the clicks that you're getting from impressions and conversions that you get from the clicks and so on. And we'd rather have our ad that's most likely going to perform best to be shown. So having our ad rotation set to optimize as well is also something that I actually like the use of Google's AI for. On the other hand, though, another Google Ads AI feature that you don't want to use is when you're in all campaigns, you should go to recommendations and then press auto apply. And what you want to do is make sure that you don't have all of these auto apply recommendations selected. Because if you do, Google's AI will more or less take over your campaign and, start, writing a lot of ads for you on your behalf, start using, a lot of broad match keywords, for example, and not necessarily do anything that's going to help with your overall campaign performance. So out of all of these, recommendations, you can use optimized ad rotation as we just went through, but we don't want them to automatically make responsive search ads on our behalf, because ideally we want to write those ourselves. And a lot of these other recommendations, for example, adding new keywords on our behalf, adding broad match keywords, giving them the right to change our bidding strategy when we know what's best for us depending on our current situation. Because Google's AI doesn't have context, for example, on how much conversion data is enough for us to make the switch in our bidding strategies. So if we have the plan at the very beginning to start off with a maximize clicks bidding strategy, then we should stick with that strategy until we know we want to make the switch across. Whereas Google's AI is going to recommend that we switch over to maximize conversions a lot earlier than we actually should. And you just want to make sure that, firstly, you obviously, don't follow all of Google's recommendations. But at the same time, just make sure you don't have any auto apply recommendations set on as well, or else, all of these changes will be made automatically. And just to touch as well on, like, how powerful Google's AI can be versus, when it'll have diminishing returns, is that once you have a campaign with a lot of conversion data, then Google's AI is going to perform so much better for you than one that's brand new with a lot without a lot of context. And what we want to do is give Google's AI some more power once we get to that point. But a mistake I often see in some cases as well is just over relying on Google's AI too much, and just assuming that we can go completely broad and set all of our keywords to broad match, and just assume that all of our ads are only going to be shown for relevant search queries, when in reality we're still going to get a lot of irrelevant search terms appear, even though Google's AI is at a point where it has a lot of relevant context. So that's just something to be aware of as well, is that if you're starting out a campaign at the very beginning, and we usually use exact match keywords in this case, because we want to make sure that we're minimizing the amount of irrelevant search terms that we appear for, is that if you do decide to go broader once you have a lot of relevant conversion data, that from our experience, switching to phrase match has been a much better balance, because even with a solid list of negative search keywords, you'll still appear for a lot of completely irrelevant searches if you use all broad match keywords, but they can be worth experimenting with in some cases. But I would just say not to use broad match for all of your list of keywords. And just another mistake we often see being made as well is that recommendations are often followed quite too early inside Google Ads. And probably the most common one is, being told that they're limited by bid strategy, after you get the very first few conversions inside your campaign. But this isn't something you want to rush into. What I'd say as well about, your optimization score is that it's only a score given to you based on how many of Google's recommendations that you follow. And some of these recommendations can be followed, whereas a lot of them can be ignored as well. So this is, the whole point we're trying to make as well is about how Google Ads AI is getting a lot more powerful and how we can really use it to our advantage. But there is still the need for as much human input as possible because you can almost think about it like ChatGPT, how you can use it as a really useful tool to, save you a lot of time. But you can't just, take exactly what ChatGPT gives you. You still need to refine it and improve it. And that's exactly how I'd also describe Google Ads AI. So what we found for the most part is that as long as Google Ads AI has enough relevant context as to, what users are most likely to result in leads, from, obviously having our conversion tracking set up correctly and gathering a decent amount of conversions early on in a campaign with a maximized clicks bidding strategy, for example, is when Google's AI has really, helped improve our campaign's performance and also kept bringing cost per leads of a lot of our campaigns down month after month. And how we also use it to optimize our ads as well with our optimized ad rotation, for example, but wouldn't necessarily use it to write our ad copy unless we use it, for some ideas for a few of our headlines, but not all. And to also look at some of the recommendations that you're being given by Google's AI, but not to just blindly follow everything that is being recommended to you. And now if you do have any questions at all about Google's AI inside any of your own campaigns, or any questions at all about Google Ads in general, feel free to leave a comment down below. And if you are running Google Ads yourself and would like help getting better results for your campaign, we specialize in helping local service-based businesses get more leads. And if that sounds like something you're interested in, have a look in the link in the description where you can always learn more. And if you do like this Google Ads related content, feel free to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, as we'll be posting all things related to Google Ads here daily. And hopefully we'll see you in the next video.